We've been so busy with all the elections and lawn and garden show and all that kind of stuff, but you have a fundraiser coming up this Saturday.
We do. One of our biggest fundraisers of the year is our Team Hope Walk, and we will be out at Sartoma Park April 28th, next Saturday, from like 11 to whenever it takes people to walk. But yeah, we're just kind of walking for the cure of Huntington's disease.
Now, a lot of people don't know quite maybe what Huntington's disease is, or they may have it confused maybe with another type of thing.
Absolutely. You know, it is a fairly, I don't want to say new disease, but it's a kind of an undeveloped or understood or disease. But it's what I kind of think of it as is it really is in the Parkinson's family, and it is an inherited disease. So it does come from one of your parents, and it's very progressive, and it's degenerative, and it does affect the brain. And
can it skip a generation, or does the parents know that they have it?
You know, some parents don't know that they have it, you know, if they show signs later on in life. And it does not skip. You know, that's kind of the beauty, the good and the bad, I guess, of the disease, is that it does not skip. So if you have the disease, your children will have a 50-50 chance of acquiring the disease or have the repeat of the gene. Enough where you would have the gene or have the disease. But if your children do not have the gene positive, they will not pass it on. So that's kind of the good part of it, is it won't skip. Once it stops, it stops. But as it keeps, you know, moving down the line, you know, it does continue.
Is there a gene therapy for this or research for that?
You know, we are still working on all of that, definitely, and that's where we are really becoming more vocal and more assertive in our marketing and our education for the Huntington's group, because there is no cure. And it really is more so, you know, doing therapy on things that bother you. So if, you know, as an example, my husband's balance is very bad. Because he has Huntington's, and you know, so he kind of has chosen to treat his balance and some of the choreic movements. Some people have depression very badly, and so then they choose to, you know, treat the depression. But unfortunately, it's really kind of a cocktail, you know, as far as the meds, and so we kind of, you know, use therapy for the things that really are the most, you know, distressing for the patient.
So it's a genetic disease.
It is a genetic disease. It is. So as an example, my husband Paul has the disease. His mom had the disease. And so all of the siblings in his family, or all the kids in his family, had a 50-50 chance of having the disease. And it turns out with 6 of the kids that were in his family, 3 of them have the disease.
It really was 50-50.
So it really, well, and it's not necessarily 50-50 in the eyes of the number of children you have, but 50-50 of you have it or you don't have it. I've met families at convention where they have 8 kids and every child has it, you know.
This had to be a lot for you to talk about when you were wanting to have children.
Yes, it did. It was, you know, some hard talks, but some easy talks. And so Paul and I do not have children, and we kind of made that decision because we wanted to stop the disease. But, you know, we also, as a chapter, we have 2 seminars, 2 big education events, one in the spring and one in the fall. In the fall last year, we really kind of devoted that to genetic counseling, because there are other ways to have a baby, you know, and you can adopt, you can do, you know, some other gene testing and that kind of a thing, but that has to be right for the family. And, you know, Paul and I are really, really blessed with, I think it's 13 nieces and nephews. So we were just at a soccer game, you know, today, but we're just really blessed to have those children in our lives.
Well, the cure is almost to stop your branch of your tree.
Right, yeah.
And that is a lot to talk about.
That is a lot to talk about. And, you know, because nothing, you know, well, you want nothing more than to keep a piece of somebody, you know, and that's something that, you know, I had to struggle with Paul, having him diagnosed is, when he leaves, me, I wanted to have a piece of him, but in essence, I kind of have a piece of him with all of our nieces and nephews.
So are you going to adopt? Or?
No, we're not going to adopt. We are, we just live vicariously through all of our sisters and brothers who have kids. And we're even kind of called aunt and uncle to some of our friends as kids. So that's kind of our story.
Really great babysitters.
We are great babysitters. We do. We spoil them.
What are the signs of Huntington's?
Some of the signs of Huntington's is you'll see some facial twitches. My husband Paul has, quite a bit of facial twitches. The walk will be kind of a gait, where they kind of have a long gait. And they'll kind of actually look like they're drunk. So actually, when Paul and I are walking in a store, I really kind of hold on to him kind of close, because he does look like he's had his 16 Miller Lights, but he really hasn't had any 16 Miller Lights.
Are policemen aware of these type of things?
We also do some education with our partners on the police force, because there are ways, you need to be educated, because you need to, I don't want to say treat them differently, but you need to be aware of what the disease is all about.
Does this affect his life expectancy?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. My husband Paul was diagnosed about 7 years ago, and he's 43 years old. So, it could progress. It could be 10 to 25 years. It kind of depends on him. And, and also how long, his breathing will give him, the abilities to breathe, but also the abilities to eat, because part of Huntington's is also that their tongue will swell. So that really affects the breathing, not to mention drinking and swallowing and eating.
So quality of life is...
Yeah, that's kind of the kicker, is the quality of life. It's not just him walking around like he looks like he's had a few drinks or anything like that. But the quality of life really deteriorates, because it affects their mental faculties, but also their their physical movement. So Paul's speech is not that great. And also, those people that, if you try to speak with a Huntington's patient, they may not always be able to answer you quickly to a question, because that part of the brain is shrinking, and that's the part of the brain that's kind of like the superhighway that gives you all of the information quickly, and you're able to do some impulse things, that kind of thing. So typically I can always see Paul trying to figure out what he's going to say, but he has a hard time getting it out of his mouth, sometimes timely, what I think is timely.
Well, you have a local chapter. How many people are we talking about when we say Huntington's disease in our area or nationally?
That's a good question, and I don't know the exact answer, but we have a monthly meeting. It's every Saturday, or every second Saturday of the month, and we meet at the Ronning Library on 49th and Southeastern. And, typically there's a few of us that are always there. There's probably 4 or 5 of us that are always there. But then every week we also have some new people coming in. So we know that there are several people out there, that really do need the group. And we have people coming from Iowa. There's families that will come from Minnesota. And even last week when we had our spring education event, we had a family coming from North Dakota.
People with related diseases probably could come to your group too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because if you have, everybody needs kind of the support, whether it be the caregiver needs support, the actual Huntington's patient, or if you're a Parkinson's patient. We actually did have a Parkinson's gentleman that joined us because he was at the library and he saw the sign. And he's just thought, if there's something new in Parkinson's, maybe it can benefit Huntington's. If there's something new in Huntington's, maybe it can benefit the Parkinson's team.
Does it affect men more than women, or about the same?
Well, it's probably about the same. The one thing I'd say is, in a male, just from knowing my husband and being with him, men typically probably are more athletic. So for them to deteriorate, down to the point of not being able to walk, not being able to talk. You know, I don't know, it might be kind of a worse situation.
I suppose in the old days they just said you're getting senile.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, because it is a mental illness because it affects the brain, but it's an illness that, you know, also affects the movement of your body, so the physical side.
Are we seeing more of it, or we're just hearing more of it?
I think we're hearing more of it, you know, because of the research and the teams that are out there, the scientists who are brilliant. We're just being more aware of it. Because like you said, in the older days, and the younger, you know, they didn't know what it was. They just probably thought that people were just going a little crazy and maybe they just can't walk anymore.
Is the research on Alzheimer's helping?
You know, there are some situations where an Alzheimer's drug or a therapy could help, you know, a patient. But that's, you know, that's kind of at the discretion of the doctors. You know, it's very symptomatic. You treat the symptoms, and by no means is there a cure. You're just treating the symptoms.
The more we find out about or learn about our brain, the more we find out we really don't know.
Well, it is such an incredible organ. It really is kind of amazing that it just develops, you know, the way it does.
Well, Saturday, where and when?
Where and when? We will be at Sertoma Park, so the park where the butterfly and the aquarium is. So that's where we'll be. 10 o'clock is registration. 11 o'clock starts the walk. It is a walk and a run, so you can walk like the 2-mile walk, or you can run a 5K or a 10K.
Debbie Augustad, board member of the Sioux Valley Huntington's chapter, I want to thank you for being with us on phone.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.